Hey guys, welcome back to my comic review series on IDW Sonic the Hedgehog, where I cover each and every issue. Today I'm doing a review of issue 15, which continues the lengthy arc that is deemed popular amongst fans, the Metal Virus Saga. Before I begin, I'm going to provide a brief recap of the previous events leading up to this point. Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik has tested his newly designed contraption, the titular metal virus, to transform his captured victims into metallic slaves, which will also affect other victims upon contact. After he explains the full process and effects of the virus, he concludes that the test is complete and moves on to the next phase of the plan, despite Dr. Starlight's initial concerns. During this, Rough and Tumble exhibit their rematch with Sonic by equipping themselves with new gadgets, but they ultimately fail once again, leading to Dr. Starlight to save their skins by pulling them through a portal with the warped topaz. After this incident, Sonic decides to go to Frozen Peak with Silver, who says that a mysterious guy gave him this destination, who is of course revealed to be Dr. Starline. Starline confesses that all the weird shenanigans that have happened since the Battle for Angel Island incident were all the work of him, and further elaborates that Mr. Tinker, who is the amnesiac version of Eggman, is non-existent and is back into the vile scientist everyone knows and doesn't love. During the fight, he sends Sonic and Silver to the opposite side of the mountain, and tells Metal Sonic to go back inside the base while awaiting the hero's return, only to be blindsided from behind by a spin attack. He tricks them by claiming that he set up self-destruction devices inside the ball before giving Silver the detonation code, which makes Sonic realize that they've fallen into a trap. Starline, being thrilled with this apparent win, hopes that Eggman will also be as thrilled. But instead, Eggman becomes infuriated and physically reprimands Starline for this attempt at killing Sonic, stating that he is only his prey to destroy, because reasons! Silver makes an epic sacrifice by shielding Sonic and himself from the massive explosion, but it leaves him heavily injured in the process. He is put in bed in the Restoration HQ, and Amy assures that he should rest and hopes that his injuries will be fully healed soon. Afterwards, she discusses with Sonic on how to locate another Eggman base, suggesting an idea to find one where the Doctor himself isn't present by tapping into its network and that it's fully unguarded. Sonic offers to let Amy come with him on this mission, to which she happily accepts, and all of it leads up to this very issue where the couple will carry out this task. The main cover for this issue depicts Sonic and Amy trying to run away from Rough and Tumble in an underground area where they're appearing from, indicating that there's going to be a third battle between the Blue Blur and the Skunk duo. I find it cool how they put this as the cover for the fourth graphic novel, which shows that the metal virus may be in effect with anyone who aren't the animals that Eggman used as test subjects. This cover's art was handled by another new IDW Sonic artist, Jack Lawrence, as well as the colors by Matt Herms, another cool collaboration contributed by two individuals from this company. With all that said, let's get into this story. Wow, already a glimpse of Eggman's narcissism in the very first page and panel, where he literally carved up a mountain to resemble his face. Shoutouts to issue 13 of the Archie series for revealing this trend. Anyway, Sonic and Amy arrive at the Eco Mine and begin to enter inside. Sonic notes that it looks like there was a huge battle that occurred here, to which Amy confirms that there actually was. The Resistance had made one of their biggest counterattacks against the Eggman Empire before Sonic's return, meaning that this happened during the events of Sonic Forces. She also explains that they had to liberate several people, but had ultimately cost them their losses, or perhaps even lives, in the process, much to her depression. Sonic consoles her and reassures that at least the effort was worth it, and Amy responds that Sonic helped win the war, with Sonic noting that he always does what needs to be done. Look at the way he places his hand on her shoulder. What a supportive boyfriend he is. They focus back on the mission to find the source of an Eggman base, which is a computer and a command hub located down the tunnel that can help them locate the Doctor by using the computer, the Eggnet, to access the network and figure out what he's planning. Sonic thinks that because he saw the Badniks emptying a defunct lab in the previous issue, the Doctor could likely be having them do the same thing here, but Amy is fully certain that this is the best place to start, since it's the closest abandoned base on file. Soon after, they find the command hub, and Amy turns on the switch for the backup generator to reactivate the power in the Echo Mine. She excitedly exclaims that they're back in business despite Sonic's skepticism on the lack of Badniks that were supposed to reserve the area. Unbeknownst to the two, there is a camera that is spying on them. Don't think I need to express aloud how many times this has happened since the Fallout arc.
Do I need to express aloud that spying on Sonic has given me an idea for a plan to destroy him? Or is that obvious?
Is what obvious?
At the final egg, Eggman puts more of the metal virus liquid in the containers. He gloats about it, saying that his actions are so mean, he almost feels bad for his victims. Yeah, no you don't. That's just another sign of your ego showing, and it'll very likely come back to bite you. Dr. Starline enters the room and reports to Eggman that Sonic and Amy have entered his base in the Echo Mine and having access to his files. Eggy Boy sees this as impeccable timing and tells Cubot to send Rough and Tumble to meet him at Hangar 3. Why not send Orbot to talk to them? Goodness. As Eggman carries the metal virus containers, Starline asks him how he's completely calm about this unexpected infiltration, as well as the whole metal virus itself not being fully completed from his past tests, seen in issue 13. Of course, Eggman still dismisses this and instead replies, "Starline, you need to learn to enjoy these dramatic sudden deadlines." Bro is being overconfident again. He arrives at Hangar 3 to find an impatient Rough and Tumble, who claim they may take over the base for themselves. I love how Rough is kicking Cubot's head like a soccer ball. The Eggster gives them metal virus backpacks, telling them they can activate it by pushing the buttons on the cross straps in case Sonic overpowers them. As they put them on, Rough asks if they give them some sort of new powers, to which Eggman replies vaguely without providing any real explanation for it. And no, Tumble, it does not give you a new tail. Move on, buddy. God. Eggman then reveals a new invention of his that will primarily aid them on their next mission. As he does this, he says the iconic line, "Get a load of this!" Back at the Echo Mine, Sonic and Amy see a login screen on the Eggnet, and Amy says there is a variation on it, being that of 3 each on the screen. After she enters one of them, she successfully logs in. The computer showcases schematics for a ship that strongly resembles the Space Colony Ark. However, Amy confirms that it's actually not the Ark, but rather something similar and smaller, and only detailing something about payload distribution. Before they can learn more about this, a loud rumbling noise occurs that causes the computer to be shut down. Sonic realizes that Eggman may have figured out their presence in the Echo Mine. However, it is instead Rough and Tumble who come barging through the place with a large tank, smashing the computer and all of the other monitors in the process. I guess Eggman now has more of a reason not to use these anymore. They once again introduce themselves, calling out their own names in the third person. This is now the 4th time they've done this running gag now. It has since gotten old when they did it the first time in issue 3. Everyone already knows who you are, dang it. Sonic is absolutely right to criticize you for your poor choice of rhymes. The skunks start bickering about their ideas for rhyming introductions, leading to a confused Amy to question how these seemingly dense individuals took over Barricade Town. Sonic tells her that while they may seem generic, they can still pose a significant challenge, noting that she gets a turn at fighting them. She tries to hit the tank's drill with her hammer, but it amounts to no avail as it bounces back and makes her recoil. The skunks end their argument by stating that they'll steal a rhyming dictionary later and focus on their opponents. They start shooting at the hedgehogs while they escape narrowly as Sonic carries Amy away from the crossfire. They come across a refuse pit, knowing it's a dead end and that the only way out is to go back the way they came. Although, Sonic notices that the path is barely wide open enough for Rough and Tumble's tank, meaning that if they drive here, they won't be able to turn around. The couple smile to each other as they get an idea. Another one of my favorite Son-Amy moments. Rough and Tumble bust in through the entrance, but they almost approach the pit, forcing them to make a hard turn away from it. As this happens, Sonic runs up behind the tank, and with the real superpower teamwork, he throws Amy up in the air, allowing her to smash Tumble's glass dome with her hammer. Sonic uses a series of homing attacks to destroy the tank's left treads, rendering the vehicle immobilized to control. This forces the skunk mercenaries to exit from the tank as it falls into the pit, as Rough exclaims that Eggman should have given them flamethrowers or bazookas rather than this useless tank. This leaves them cornered by the heroes, who demand to reveal Eggman's location or surrender. Rough and Tumble start engaging with their backup plan that the boss gave them as they push the buttons on their cross straps in an effort to gain the upper hand. However, this causes their backpacks to open up and spill the metal virus liquid all over them. They panic frantically while the liquid comes into contact with their skin, while Sonic and Amy watch in horror. And oh my god, they have now transformed into the same metallic forms as the animals Eggman used as test subjects in the previous 2 issues. I totally see why he had to do this to them without them knowing. Amy is horrified at these new forms, realizing that they've been turned into robots, or perhaps something worse, as Sonic notes. Wasting no time and no words spoken, the newly affected skunk duo start attacking Sonic and Amy as they hit a wall with heavy punches. Sonic tries to taunt Tumble again, but Tumble does not react to the insults and continues attacking relentlessly. Amy says that they're completely soulless due to them not communicating, leading to Sonic to believe that they're some sort of zombie type robots, then eventually dubs them Zombots. Honestly, yeah, that's the perfect way to describe these metallic forms. Also, no dude, you just made physical contact with Tumble while dodging him. You could've just spin jump or rolled under him. Amy swings her hammer at Rough, striking him in the torso part of his body, causing the skunk to lose his arm and have a deep gouge as well. Amy gets super mortified, stating that it was not her intention to do that. However, Rough quickly regenerates his wounds, appearing completely unscathed as if nothing happened. Amy then realizes that Rough and Tumble cannot be physically harmed in their current states. Sonic does the same after using the homing attack on Tumble a few times, only for the brute to regenerate his wounds seconds later. Sonic looks at his hand and begins to notice the metal virus liquid on him after touching the brute, realizing that what happened to his opponents is going to happen to him too. He warns Ames not to let them touch her, though this gives Tumble enough time to punch him in the face, causing more of the virus to spread on his head. As fighting an enemy that is seemingly immune to damage and hazardous to make contact with, Sonic pushes Tumble into the refuse pit, saying that it's best to put him down there for now. The infected Rough continues attacking Amy, who barely holds her own until Sonic kicks him down to the pit as well. They may have won the battle, but the outcome has resulted in Sonic receiving a severe condition as he's now covered in the metal virus patches and they're about to spread fast. Amy looks on with a frightening look, feeling almost completely hopeless on what to do to save her boyfriend. Back at the final egg, Dr. Eggy Boy reacts gleefully to the situation through the footage from the same camera from before, expressing that this plan finally went a lot better than he anticipated. He ultimately decides to go with the name Zombots and credits his arch-enemy for it, feeling that it's catchy. Starline celebrates with him, asking him what the next phase of the plan is, and the Eggster states that it's now time to reveal the metal virus to the world, deeming it as one of his clinical trials. This concludes the story. My freaking god, you guys. This issue was fan-flippin-tastic. Easily one of the best in the series. The pacing was perfect, the character dynamics are still great, and the entire setup with Eggman's recent plan was so well executed. Let's go over the highlights. The first highlight, you guessed it, is Son Amy. If you watch my past videos or streams, you know that I am a big fan of Sonic and Amy as a potential couple, and I will forever stand by it. I've already gone over Amy's character and personality back in my issue 2 review from 2024, where I said that this series has the best version of her, and that is still very true to this day. Feel free to check out that review for more information. Like that issue, she works with her boyfriend on another mission after the latter offered to join her in the previous issue, and oh my god, it's just as good as in issue 2. She actively refrains from showing obsessive feelings for Sonic, and takes her mission and actions seriously. While she and Sonic don't have any witty banters with each other this time, there's this one moment where they look at each other with smug expressions, and I literally adore it so much. This shows they were made for each other. I also love the way he was carrying her while avoiding Rough and Tumble. I'm sorry, but it's just too cute. I love them so much, and they're literally couple goals, 100%. Sonic X and especially Sonic Boom have some of the best Son Amy moments in the entire series, and I now feel it's time to make this a discussion. In Sonic CD, Amy makes her first appearance by meeting Sonic in Palm Tree Panic, immediately begins to have affectionate feelings for him, then hugs him. However, Sonic does not reciprocate and ignores her. Despite this, he still makes an effort to save her from Metal Sonic and Eggman's clutches. One moment that I find to be cute is how Sonic puts her on her feet while she still has her eyes closed. He backs away from her briefly before running off. I could be wrong about this, but I think this is the first instance of Sonic showing genuine care for her even if he doesn't show it. In Sonic Adventure, Amy meets up with him in Station Square, telling him that he should look after Birdie, but he declines. Later, she ends up being captured by Zero, who is the green robot that harasses her all throughout her campaign. Sonic attempts to stop him, but fails due to the egg carrier transporting Zero inside of it. It's essentially the same situation that happened in CD, only except Amy becomes more responsible and handles all of it on her own without her potential boyfriend's help. In Sonic Heroes, she continues her maturity as the leader of her team, and while showing affectionate feelings for Sonic, though her encounter with him in Grand Metropolis is questionable as it leads to a boss fight, which by the way you can literally demolish in less than 30 seconds, but it gave us these hilarious yet lovely lines.
Sonic, let's go on our honeymoon!
Marriage? No way!
The game also started this running trope within the franchise where every time Amy sees Sonic, she starts running towards him to try to hug him, prompting Sonic to run away from her. As a kid, I always thought this was really funny, and I still do to this day as an adult, and this is something that I miss from the recent entries. Skipping to Sonic Unleashed, that game features an iconic Son Amy moment in the franchise, at least for me personally. I've stated this in my live playthrough of the unofficial port of the game, titled Recompiled, which you can check out from the card on the upper right of the screen, but this is where Sonic admits his feelings for her for real. He becomes noticeably very depressed after Amy was unable to recognize him in his Warhawk state, believing he could likely be stuck in the form for the rest of his life, despite Chip's efforts to cheer him up. He was right to say that he needed to be careful about who sees him like this. Fortunately for him, Amy does eventually realize it's Sonic all along and apologizes, and she decides to make up for the mishap by offering to go on a date with him, and he accepts interest, making her very happy. This was directly proven true in the ending of Sonic and the Black Knight, which takes place after Unleash. Therefore, despite being a spin-off, it is still canon. Yes, I said it. In several of the later and recent entries, as said earlier, their relationship as a potential couple slowly regressed into being more platonic. I think I'll save that last part for a future video, since Ian Flynn stated that he had ideas for an even more mature Amy, which will lead to some unnecessary changes that even I would disagree with. You may know what I'm talking about if you've watched some of his podcasts. Anyways, let's talk about the actual reasons for this highlight. Sonic X and Sonic Boom are two of the most continuities in the Sonic series, where Sonic and Amy's ongoing relationship would eventually border into romance due to the former responding back affectionately, something that's typically not seen in most other media. For example, in episode 5 of Sonic X, titled Cracking Knuckles, when Sonic saves Amy, Tails, and Chris from the E-47 robot, Amy immediately hugs him. When he holds her back, he appeared to show affectionate feelings towards her in return. In episode 52, titled A New Start, Sonic is seen holding a flower to give to her after she sees him upon returning to their world, although in the Japanese version, they tease this by intentionally making his dialogue, as well as the rest of their interaction in that scene, completely mute. This line of dialogue was eventually revealed in episode 69, where Amy stated that Sonic only missed her a lot, further proving that Sonic does genuinely love Amy, even if he doesn't admit it. That's in my headcanon. As for Sonic Boom, Amy's affection for Sonic remains unchanged, although this time it's the opposite. In several episodes, she denies having a crush on her potential boyfriend. Sonic's interactions with her remain the same as in other media, still not admitting it despite his genuine care and apparent crush on her as well.
Looks like she's setting up for a date.
A date? That's cool. I mean, what do I care? Stop looking at me.
A girl needs the essentials. Cab fare, lip balm, picture of a platonic friend that you have no romantic interest in.
Go away, Amy. I'm not in the mood.
Eggman!
By my count, you owe him about $1 million.
Must everyone chime in with a quip?
Communication is the key to a functional relationship, Sonic.
Relationship? Who said anything about a relationship? You should probably head home.
Sonic, when are you coming back?
Who's that? She your girlfriend or something?
What? No?
Oh, I get it. She wears the pants in the relationship.
Nobody wears pants. Nobody. Hey, yeah, so Ames, I think I'm gonna hang back in M-Town, see the sights with my bros.
No problem. But don't forget, we have that...
God, that last one will never not be priceless. There are even times where other characters like Tails, Eggman, and Styx appear to ship the two as well, and it's so funny every time. Another thing that I love about their apparent dynamic is their tendency to get jealous whenever one of them interacts with another character, such as Sonic flirting with Percy and Stacy, or Amy happily hugging Vector. It's honestly one of the show's best running gags in my opinion. Neither one of them will admit their feelings to each other, but will show jealousy when hooked up with someone else, which shows that their complex relationship is so perfectly written well. One of the most notable ones is in the episode titled 3 Minutes or Less, where Amy deliberately sets up a romantic dinner with Sonic by ordering 2 Medburger meals for him to deliver at her house and chill together. She didn't even try to hide it. It would have been a perfect scene if he didn't straight up leave her, though it's understandable why he had to. At least we got a scene of them having a picnic together in the episode The Evil Dr. Orbot. So lovely. Okay, I'm done. I wanted to get all of that off my chest as a Sanemi fan. Hashtag sorry not sorry. As stated earlier, their dynamic and teamwork in this issue was perfect just as it was in issue 2. They didn't show any signs of feelings or have any witty banters with each other. They just focused on being active to the task and battle Rough and Tumble. The part where he saves her from the infected Rough was great, and her reaction to him being hit with the virus liquid shows how much she cares for his well-being, as it makes her scared and sad seeing bad things happen to him. This will carry over to future issues. Next highlight is the real introduction of the metallic forms, now finally named Zombots. In my issue 13 review, I mentioned that this form was not given an actual name by Eggman despite the entire plan he began setting up in issue 12. It's not until he overhears Sonic come up with the term, which he decides to use and credit him for it. I feel like this could be a reference to the very first episode of Sonic Boom, where he took Sonic's advice on giving Burnbot fire-based attacks. According to Ian Flynn, the concept behind the Zombot forms came from a very obscure cheat code from Sonic Heroes, which is only accessible in that game's multiplayer mode. You do it by holding down the A and Y buttons simultaneously on the GameCube, Xbox, and PC versions, or the X and triangle buttons on the PS2 version after selecting a level and during the loading screen. If done successfully, you will see the teams in their metal skin models. However, these skins are only active once per round, meaning you'll need to hold down the buttons again while the next round loads, assuming you're doing all of the stages within one of these 7 options in the 2-player mode. I actually didn't know these metal skins existed until 10 years after I first played the game. And it makes sense as to why anyone wouldn't, because it's intended to be a secret and rare by the developers, so you're never going to know it exists unless you look up a guide or see other players do it. I always found it interesting how in most games for the 90s and 2000s, how the developers intentionally implement things like this to prevent players from discovering them on their own, especially since the internet was not prevalent in those decades like it is today. Nowadays, people often emulate games they want to play for the first time from websites they find through search engines and never check manual guides at all. I've even noticed there are those who aren't even aware that Sonic has an air dash in Sonic Advance, despite it being mentioned in that game's physical manual, and instead seeing it for the first time done by another player. And seriously, am I the only person who misses instruction manuals? I hate that they got rid of them after the early 2010s, because the internet is so big now, even to the point where digital media is being preserved more than physical. Big shoutouts to Casticlism for giving the instruction manuals for the games that she covers in her videos the attention they deserve. Another reason why I miss the 2000s so much. Anyways, the metal skins fortunately don't require all 120 emblems or all 141 Erics to unlock, so you can input the cheat codes for the skins at any time you select the 2-player mode. Going back to Ian Flynn, he decided to use this as one of the main concepts for the Metal Virus arc. He stated in a now deleted tweet from Twitter, "Catching up on Sonic the Hedgehog issues 13 to 14 reactions, and pleased to see some folks have already figured out the game inspiration for the Metal Virus. Sonic Heroes is one of my least favorite games. Why the hell am I pulling so much from it?" At least he showed respect to Heroes, even if his opinions on the game are the opposite. He also revealed that the concept for the Zombot forms was initially conceived for the Archie series, where they will replace similar forms that happened through being roboticized, called Robians, who would serve Archie Eggman. The Metal Virus itself was also a concept that was made even before the existence of the IDW series, and was eventually going to be at around issue 300 of the former, until it was inevitably cancelled in 2017. Ian Flynn has revealed and provided explicit information for this in one of his podcasts.
You mentioned that a reason, not the only one, but a reason why you're not discussing any future plans you had for the reboot era of Archie was because there was a possibility of you using some of those scrap plans for IDW. And thus talking about them would technically constitute IDW spoilers. And that makes perfect sense. Now my question is, whenever you do end up incorporating scrap reboot plans into IDW, do you plan on mentioning after the fact, "Oh yeah, and this story event that happened had its origins in scrapped reboot plans"? or has there been anything in IDW already that was recycled from scrapped Archie plans?
I think we're deep enough into it now that I can say that the Metal Virus saga was going to be post 300 Archie material.
Okay.
When how did it go? When Ma said Eggman has figured out how to get robotization to work again, that's where we were going. The basic premise of a infectious metal virus was on the table. It was actually on the table for a long time, like an editor before, and the editor said, "Hey, I want you to come up with a zombie story." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because zombies are hot right now. Walking Dead is huge." It's like, okay, I'll think of something. And
Go figure.
son of a gun, I thought of something that I really liked. So, okay, let's do it. And he says, "Well, actually, no. We've got Afterlife with Archie coming out. They don't want too much zombie material coming out, so shelve it." It's like, okay, gonna come up with new plans. Thanks. And it's like, can we do the story now? No, we got something else going on. Well, how about now? Well, no, there's an event going on. Well, how about now? Well, no, we're going to do something else. And so after we had reached the big cathartic moment, it was going to be, move on from there. And then the book died.
Yeah.
So, we start up IDW. I wanted to keep something very simple, very Sonic, very familiar. And that's why we did the Neo Metal arc, because it was very, very deeply rooted into traditional Sonic stuff.
Right.
But playing with the toys enough that it was this big celebration of the franchise overall. And when it came to what are we going to do for year 2, it's like, well, I have this pretty promising premise that I haven't had a chance to use. Let's dust it off and apply it to this new incarnation. Let's see if Sega will let me turn their iconic, highly protected characters into horrible metal zombies. Oh, yes? This is approved? All of it? Okay. So, here we are. Now, obviously, had it gone through with the Archie books, it would have been a wildly, wildly different story.
Of course.
And I didn't have anything point for point figured out, just that was the basic premise that I wanted to apply. So there isn't like a lost plot line that I'm just recycling. It's just the idea of the metal goo.
Yeah.
So there you have it. This was one of many ideas he had for the Archie series before it was cancelled. Bringing it into this series was a good move by him, and it worked surprisingly well. So what exactly is a Zombot? Well, it is a transmutated metallic version of an organic being who gets fully infected by the metal virus after coming into contact with it. Their entire body remains the same as it did pre-infection, with the only difference being the metallic sheen of the original skin color. Their eyes also change into a blood red color, which is very fitting for their zombie-like behavior. As shown in this issue, the Zombots exhibit immense strength and durability, such as withstanding even heavy blows and immediately regenerating from them, as well as becoming more powerful than in their base forms. These abilities essentially make them completely invulnerable, which can make fighting them very risky. Eggman had already demonstrated this with the animals he captured in issues 13 and 14, and this is definitely what he had envisioned, going by his reaction at the end, though he is still overconfident, and Starline was right to question his calmness due to a potential flaw without fully finishing the previous test. According to Ian Flynn, the way the Zombots regenerate is a reference to the Terminator series. He stated this in the same podcast.
How much of this was Terminator inspired? Any of it, or just kind of maybe sort of the
nothing directly. I'm sure there's something somewhere, because
the metal
Terminator 2 is one of those movies that just kind of permeates nerddom.
Right. You really can't get away from it. I've known things about the Terminator franchise that I can't remember a time I didn't know things about them. So yeah, it's like, okay,
now,
you can't escape it.
The full-on T-1000, recovering from damage. Folks were really shocked when Rough and Tumble got really badly mangled and then came back from it. And it's funny because when I submitted the script, the editor said, "That's a little much, maybe dial it back a bit." And I'm like, yeah, that's probably going too far. It really begs the question of just how much flesh is still there. Yeah, that's right. We'll just dial it back. And then I see the final art and it's like, oh, no, actually they went full bore. All right. Sure. Okay.
Have fun with that. This is some serious nightmare fuel stuff. I love it. It's great.
But, at least I got to see that as I was getting into the story arc that's coming up, because we have Omega and we have Zombots. So now you can imagine how that's going to go.
Oh, Ian Flynn, they will never make me hate you. You will forever be goated for bringing this long-conceived concept in this series. This is where this arc starts to fully take into a darker turn as Sonic falls victim to the virus after fighting the effective Rough and Tumble and must do what he can to prevent it from spreading in the next several issues. This right here is another reason why I wanted to do this review series, since it is to date one of the best Sonic stories ever made, and it's definitely on par with the Meteoric Saga in Sonic X. It even matches the tone with the games in the 2000s, which most fans love to refer as the Dark Age, but in the case of games like Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Shadow 05, Sonic 06, Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic Unleashed, and Sonic and the Black Knight, the Metal Virus is up there with them as well. This is something that the games since Sonic Colors have been lacking up to this point. Once again, Ian Flynn knew exactly how to carry this out and proved time and time again that he's way better than most Sonic fans think he is. He isn't perfect, and I don't agree with most of his opinions, including what he said about Sonic Heroes, but he's still one of the best we've ever gotten. But case in point, I'm happy we finally reached the true potential of the Metal Virus's outcome in the form of Zombots. This metallic state is not to be taken lightly, and we will be seeing more of it throughout the rest of this arc. Final highlight is the new art style, also done by Jack Lawrence. It's really good for the most part, but I do have my gripes with it. The way he draws Eggman is fabulous. The Mad Doctor looks like he's at his craziest, but most devilish yet. It's further established with the way he admits what he's doing is very bad and pretends like he cares. He still has that ego in him. As for everyone else, they look pretty great and their expressions are still detailed greatly, like other art styles in previous issues. My one major nitpick though was that Sonic's face looks a little weird in a few instances, like this one where he asks Amy about the password she remembers, and his head looks somewhat stretched, usually when running. In contrast, Amy looks surprisingly really cute in a couple of panels, especially this one where she and her boyfriend look at each other. Jack's style may not be my favorite, but I will still commend him for his efforts in this issue as a main artist for the story. Next highlights are the references, allusions, and callbacks. First, the network icon seen on the computer screen when Amy turns on the EcoMind's Eggman base is the Eggman Empire logo. Second, when Eggman reveals his tank to Rough and Tumble, he goes, "Get a load of this!" This is a reference to his iconic, overused quote in the Egg Viper boss fight in Sonic Adventure, which he says every time he fires lasers. Third, Eggman's password for the Eggnet in the Echo Mine, which says H4T3TH4TH3DG3HOG, is lead writing for "Hate That Hedgehog," which is an iconic catchphrase that Eggman would always say at the end of each episode of the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. This is the second time this is referenced, the first being issue 5. That's all the references I've been able to catch and analyze. For this review, I am giving it a 9 out of 10. We finally got the official name for the metallic forms, Zombots, that have been teased and demonstrated in the past 2 issues. The dynamic between Sonic and Amy was lovely to watch, and this arc begins to shift into a dark tone that the series hasn't seen yet up to this point. This was an absolute blast to reread for this video, and everything that Ian Flynn came up with during the Archie era and that he was finally able to bring to fruition into this series shows how much he was thrilled to finally see it come true in his eyes and instill the audience with it. Now for the variant covers. As a tradition for the comic, there are usually 2 alternate covers, but other issues have more than 2. This is done to make readers have different ways of purchasing a comic, and in the case of IDW for all the series that they publish, they handle this greatly to the best of their abilities. Let's go over them. Cover B has got to have one of the best cover arts in the entire series due to how it foreshadows later issues in the arc. Amy is walking through the Echo Mine while helping a nearly infected Sonic along the way. His shadow is shown on the wall, and his red eye is shown, which indicates he's about to turn into a Zombot. It looks as though it takes place after the events of the story of this issue, but done in a subtle manner. That's what makes this cover amazing, because it represents the direct consequences of what we just saw in the issue, and that will be a major occurrence moving forward. The art was done by Diana Skelly, and the colors were finalized by Alina Unger, who is another returning Archie Sonic veteran. Big props to the both of them for creating one of the best, yet one of the most underrated cover arts in the series. Second and last is the RI cover. This one appears to be in a completely different setting, as Ruff is seen controlling an entirely different mech that kind of resembles the Deathcraft from Sonic Forces, which also appeared in issue 2, but it has drills for hands, and he has also captured Sonic, who appears unfazed, similar to the RI cover from issue 6. Amy stands in front of Ruff, ready to beat him up with her hammer while there's tons of fire around them. This one kicks so much ass, and it's another one of the best ones in the comic, where they show the stakes are very serious when Amy gives up her aura farming moment. It's also similar to that one scene from episode 52 of Sonic X, where she became super enraged by Eggman's taunts. This is why you shouldn't mess with Ames. She may seem sweet, but it's not the best idea to get on her bad side. This is the 16th cover that Natalie Fortrain has created, and this might be her best one yet. There is still not one cover of hers that I dislike. She cooked with every single one of them, and this cover I adore the most. Looking forward to seeing her next one. So overall, both of these covers do a super significant job conveying the events of the story. They're both on the same levels of perfection that it's hard for me to prefer which one's the best. If there's a tier list for every single cover of the series, I would most certainly put them on S tier. They're just that good for all the right reasons. So that's it for my issue 15 review. It continues to show what made IDW Sonic so great, as it has reached the dark stakes of the series moving forward. We still got a long way to go, so strap yourselves in for this one, folks. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this whole review. Next time, we'll be taking a look at issue 16, where Sonic will try to find a solution to prevent the virus from spreading on him once more. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.